Sure. The digital transformation space is never ending. Digital transformation programs are never ending. So there's an always constant evolution of what buyers and vendors that are supporting buyers need to be prepared for. So some of the key trends we have started observing in late 2023, and we continue to see more expansion into 2024 with some tweaks along the way. Are specifically Gen AI obviously comes to mind. But while the hype around Gen AI was dominating the headlines in 2023, we expect to see that hype meets the reality when it comes to how vendors are pivoting from proof of concepts discussions to more outcome specific use cases. So that would drive a necessity for how vendors think about their portfolio offerings, their ecosystem partners, evolving their pricing models, commercial models. So there's going to be their value proposition, their messaging, and all the investments that they announced in 2023 will be put to test essentially, and show me whether actually the use case and the ROI in a very timely manner, because that's a big promise when it comes to Gen AI. Time will be shrunk, productivity will increase, better pricing, and everybody will be kind of like seeing the results of all these investments. So Gen AI hype meets reality essentially. That's kind of the number one thing that we're looking at. The second piece, and I kind of hinted a moment ago, is thinking about that not a single vendor can do it all by themselves. So for Gen AI is a perfect example, and any other technology that's already in place and in motion and being done and executed on any new technologies that might be coming along, there's a greater need for a different partner model. And what I mean by that is, we observe a trend from the last 12 to 18 months where enterprise buyers have really started to look much closer to how they invest and who do they hire for supporting their digital transformation services, and looking to optimize their digital assets rather than just investing in new technology, and at the same time looking to consolidate in sometimes their vendor rosters. What would that necessitate is vendors, both services and technology vendors, to think differently. Who do they partner with? Where's the depth of knowledge going to come from? Essentially, not just the breadth and the scale that often is being touted through their marketing messaging, but the depth of knowledge which can resonate well with the buyers. So we expect to see an emergence of what we call emergence of the superpowers. What I mean by that is, we know there's some preferred partnerships already in place. While they may not be exclusive, because it's a fine balance for vendors to say we are exclusive to a vendor Y to vendor Z, but it's more about preferred partnership structure. So take, for example, EY partners with Infosys, EY partners with Microsoft, EY partners with SAP. So now take those two bilateral partnerships and make it one big ecosystem, kind of a superpower of like where EY is the broker, the solution provider, then you have the Microsoft and the infrastructure layer, you have SAP as the ISV, you have Infosys as the managed services provider from a scale perspective. So now you have like 4 companies that can go to market together and really be servicing 80% of the enterprise buyers' IT needs, essentially business process needs. That could be a value proposition that we're starting to see some buyers considering and exploring as a way to, again, optimize their spend and optimize the value they get back from their ecosystem providers and the third-party service providers. It's a new model. It will require certain changes in the dynamic, how they collaborate on those parties, how they think about the accountability and transparency of the value proposition. But it's certainly something that we have started looking into and hearing from buyers that are not opposed to exploring and engaging in such vendors through such model. And the third piece we're thinking looking in from a 2024 and predictions in kind of like what we might expect to see is all these what we discussed so far: Gen AI, the rise of the superpowers, just overall the way that technology is, the digital transformation market is as a whole will necessitate a greater need for cybersecurity, data compliance, establishing governance. So there's a kind of while those are in a way maybe seen as a table stakes attributes, table stakes capabilities that many vendors usually carry, and vendors are accustomed to expect them to be shared with the buyers. From the vendor perspective, we're seeing kind of a new kind of a resurgence of those technologies and frameworks from a discussion perspective, because we provide an enabling layer for everything else to happen essentially. So it will drive some more consulting opportunities, will drive some more infrastructure opportunities as well. Again, new partnerships potentially, especially on the cybersecurity side, especially on the governance side with the consultancies and the technology providers. So it's one of those trends, one of those ideas that is about, we need to understand how to set the foundation in 2024 and thinking about what it takes essentially for Gen AI to have a long-term ROI, to have the multi-party vendor ecosystem analysis to come to fruition and so forth. So cyber data compliance are something that will continue to see more of a resurgence in demand. Gen AI is certainly a topic that will be part of every single piece of the research that we are producing, would also be amplified through a dedicated research stream like Gen AI market landscape that will actually look into more through that ecosystem view that we have started evolving our digital transformation portfolio and starting to add the ecosystem intelligence on the edges of like what does it mean for all participants, not just for one particular vendor. Start thinking through the implications of when you write about a vendor A, what it means to vendor B, meaning their partner, right? So that is a key component there. So Gen AI market landscape, it's kind of like the first iteration had just rolled out, which will be continue to evolve into 2024. And that's a collaborative effort between the services practice across and with everybody else across TBR. So telecom, devices, infrastructure, cloud software, everybody is pulling and looking through the Gen AI. What does that mean to the vendors they cover within the ecosystem, within the practice area, but also as a whole, what it means to the market as a whole from the ecosystem view. The other piece is, as I mentioned, we are evolving the digital transformation portfolio and expanding into the ecosystem intelligence. So a couple of reports that we have already published will continue to evolve. So we've published the current subscription is Cloud Ecosystem Market Landscape. We have Adobe and Salesforce Ecosystem Report as well. So in that kind of a similar vein, we'll expand now more into the back office, essentially, of the technologies, where we'll start looking into vendors like SAP and Oracle and Workday in the world and their relationship and with professional service organizations, kind of through that same lens, understanding what do those practices sizes look like, what are some of the nuances of the relationships between, let's say, Accenture and SAP versus IBM and or whatever the case might be, just thinking about the different vendors that might be playing into that space. Again, rooted a lot on our data and analysis around headcount, around revenue, and through the lens of the ecosystem view, understanding like what are the implications of the business applications that are being developed, how that's changing, what are some of the commercial models that are being applied, and so forth. Obviously, Gen AI will be part of that discussion as an implication that's generating some more changes and opportunities for everybody. And the other piece that as part of the ecosystem intelligence we are looking to expand is what we call partner sentiment. What I mean by that is for years as part of digital transformation, we have been publishing Voice of the Customer, which is really what buyers say about their experiences and what are the expectations around budget spent and how they think about the vendors they work with. Now we're trying to take that approach through either survey work as well as like in-depth conversations with the technology and services providers and really understand with that lens of like, what are the partner sentiment of each other? What I mean by that is we may have a conversation with Microsoft and have a conversation with them about what do you think, are you getting everything you think you need from Accenture or everything you need to get from Capgemini, for example, right? And then we'll have a similar conversation with the services providers and say, what is your experience with Dell, for example, and thinking about, are you getting everything from what you need as a partner story? So the partner sentiment, I think, will be an important piece of that portfolio because it will allow us to provide a further view into the the superpowers that I discussed, as part of our predictions. But also it will provide a little bit of a holistic understanding of how the ecosystem actually evolves. What are the changes? What are the expectations? What is the sentiment? Where are the gap analysis are? Where the gap opportunities are? So between a back office, essentially ecosystem report, similar to what we have for the Adobe and Salesforce for front office and cloud ecosystem from the infrastructure side, looking into those relationships through a similar lens and similar set of metrics, as I mentioned, the partner sentiment that I just discussed, and then the Gen AI market landscapes. Those are kind of the three big pieces of the portfolio that we are expanding into in 2024.